Bubble Witch Podcast, Episode 2, Tiny Moments of Joy. Welcome back, friends. I'm glad you're here. Wherever you're listening from, I hope you found yourself a comfortable place to land for a little while. Maybe you're crafting, maybe you're driving, maybe you're folding laundry while pretending nobody can find you for 20 minutes. Maybe you're sitting outside with a cup of tea while the evening settles around you. However you arrived, I'm glad you did. Last time, we talked about the gathering season, about celebrating slowly, about giving a season enough room to actually be experienced instead of trying to squeeze all the magic into a single day on the calendar. Today, I want to talk about something that sits right at the heart of Bubble Witch: tiny moments of joy. Now, I know that phrase sounds simple, maybe even a little silly. Tiny moments of joy. It certainly doesn't sound revolutionary. Nobody is writing billion-dollar business books about tiny moments of joy. Nobody is standing on a stage under dramatic lighting yelling, "Have you tried noticing a really nice cloud lately?" Apparently, that's not where the money is. But the older I get, the more convinced I become that tiny moments of joy are some of the most important things in the world, because I think many of us were taught a lie about happiness. Not intentionally. I don't think anybody sat down one day and decided to trick us. I think it happened gradually, one message at a time, one expectation at a time. We learned that happiness was waiting somewhere in the future, just after the next accomplishment, just after the next milestone, just after the next thing. I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be happy when I buy the house. I'll be happy when the kids are older. I'll be happy when things finally settle down. And then life does what life always does. It keeps moving. One goal becomes another. One finish line becomes a starting line. One accomplishment creates 3 new responsibilities. And before we know it, we've spent years preparing to enjoy life someday while accidentally missing large parts of the life we're living right now. I know this because I've done it. Most of us have. There is always something waiting for our attention. Something to fix, something to pay, something to plan, something to worry about, something to improve, something to optimize. And if we're not careful, we can spend so much time preparing for happiness that we forget to experience it. The modern world is very good at convincing us that joy should be postponed, that we should earn it, that we should become productive enough, successful enough, organized enough, healed enough, enlightened enough, or accomplished enough before we're allowed to enjoy ourselves. I don't believe that anymore, because life is happening now, not after the project, not after retirement, not after everything is fixed. Now. And if we're always looking at the horizon waiting for happiness to arrive, we miss the beautiful little things quietly happening all around us. The smell of rain through an open window, the sound of birds arguing over absolutely nothing, a warm cup of tea, a cool breeze on a hot day, fresh sheets, a really good pair of scissors, finding the exact shade of fabric you didn't even know you were looking for, a child handing you a dandelion like they've personally discovered treasure. Tiny things. The sort of things most people overlook, the sort of things that don't seem important. And yet, when I look back at my life, those are the moments I remember. Not the to-do lists, not the errands, not the stress. I remember laughter, conversations, sunsets, stories, moments that felt small at the time, but somehow became precious later. And I think that's because a meaningful life isn't built entirely from giant moments. It's built from accumulated days, accumulated afternoons, accumulated conversations, accumulated cups of tea, accumulated moments of wonder, tiny moments of joy. one after another, until eventually they become a life. Now, I want to tell you something I've learned from children. Children understand joy differently than adults do. Adults tend to interrogate joy. We ask questions. Is it useful? Is it productive? Is it worth the time? Can I justify it? Shouldn't I be doing something else? Children don't do that. Hand a child a bubble wand and watch what happens. They don't ask if bubbles are practical. They don't ask if bubbles will improve their productivity. They don't ask if blowing bubbles is an efficient use of time. They simply chase them, laugh at them, reach for them, experience them. They understand the assignment immediately. Wonder first. Questions later. Somewhere along the way, many adults forget how to do that. We become so focused on usefulness that we stop noticing beauty. We become so focused on outcomes that we stop noticing experiences. And I think that's one of the reasons bubbles became such an important symbol for me. Because bubbles are completely impractical. They're temporary, fragile. They don't accomplish anything. You can't save them. You can't store them. You can't put them on a shelf and admire them later. They exist for a few brief moments. They catch the light. They drift through the air. They make someone smile. And then they're gone. Honestly, I think that's why I love them. Because they're a reminder that temporary things still matter. A sunset doesn't last. It still matters. A season doesn't last. It still matters. A conversation doesn't last. It still matters. A laugh doesn't last. It still matters. A bubble doesn't last. It still matters. The fact that something ends doesn't make it meaningless. In many ways, it makes it more precious. I think we sometimes forget that. We spend so much time trying to hold on to things forever that we forget to appreciate them while they're here. And maybe that's why tiny moments of joy matter so much. They're reminders. Reminders that life is happening right now. Reminders that beauty doesn't have to be permanent to be important. Reminders that wonder is still available, even on ordinary days, especially on ordinary days. Now, I should probably clarify something. Tiny moments of joy are not a cure-all. They won't pay your bills. They won't eliminate grief. They won't magically solve difficult problems. They won't make hard seasons disappear. But they can remind you that difficult seasons are not the only thing that exists. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's exactly enough. A tiny moment of joy is not a reward. It's not something you earn after you've completed all your responsibilities. It's maintenance, just like sleep, just like water, just like food. Human beings require delight. We require beauty. We require wonder. We require softness. We require things that remind us why being alive is worth the effort. And I think modern life forgets that sometimes. We're encouraged to optimize everything. Track everything, improve everything, measure everything. Meanwhile, nobody's asking if we're experiencing wonder. Nobody's asking if we've noticed the evening sky lately. Nobody's asking if we've laughed today. Nobody's asking if we've seen anything beautiful. And honestly, I think those questions matter a lot, because a soul can survive for quite a while on responsibility. But eventually it needs delight, too. Not because delight is frivolous, because delight is part of being human. So maybe that's the invitation this week. Not a challenge, not a goal, just an invitation. Look for one tiny moment of joy each day. 1. Notice it, appreciate it, let it matter. Maybe it's a flower, maybe it's a bird, maybe it's a really good cookie, maybe it's the way sunlight falls across the floor. Maybe it's a cool stick. And if you don't understand why finding a cool stick is exciting, don't worry. One day you'll see one. Then you'll understand. Before we go, Let's pull a tiny season tin card. Okay, this week's card is a notice card. Watch bubbles catch the light. I couldn't have picked a more fitting card if I'd tried, because in many ways, this little card is what today's entire episode has been about. Bubbles are ordinary. Most people don't think much about them. But if you slow down for just a moment and really watch them, something interesting happens. They become tiny, floating rainbows. They reflect colors that weren't obvious a second before. They catch sunlight. They shimmer. They change. And for a few brief moments, they become something beautiful. Then they're gone. The funny thing is, life works that way too. Beautiful moments are happening around us all the time. A laugh, a conversation, a sunset, a cool breeze, a bird singing outside your window, a cup of tea, a moment of peace. Most of them are easy to miss if we're rushing. The magic isn't that these moments are rare. The magic is that we noticed them. So this week, if you can, blow a few bubbles. Or watch a few if someone else is blowing them. And pay attention to the way they catch the light. Not because it's productive. Not because it's important. Not because it will change your life. Just because it's beautiful. And beauty deserves to be noticed. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself during the gathering season, and I'll meet you again somewhere between the bubbles and the tea.